Welcome to the Indian Gaming Association's The New Normal webcast. My name is Lisa Johnson. I'm the conference manager for the Indian Gaming Trade Show and Convention. I'd like to share a few housekeeping tips before we get started. Everyone is muted by default except for our speakers. If you have any questions during the presentation, please type them into the chat box. Now, without further ado, I'd like to introduce Victor Rocha, conference chairman of the Indian Gaming Association.
Thank you, Lisa. Good morning, Seattle. Welcome to the New Normal, your go-to source for discussions on the gaming industry and key issues facing Native American tribes. I'm Victor Rocha, conference chairman of the Indian Gaming Association, joined by my co-host, Jason Giles, the executive director of the Indian Gaming Association. Good morning, Jason.
Good morning.
And today, Jason and I are discussing the continued assault on Wisconsin tribal gaming by the Sports Betting Association. Joining us are Nicole Boyd, chairwoman of the Red Cliff Band of Lake Superior, Chippewa, and our returning is our friend Dominic Ortiz, CEO of Potawatomi Casinos and Hotels. Together we'll look at how these new actions threaten tribal rights and disrupt the stability of Wisconsin's gaming landscape. So I think that's a good intro. First of all, Nicole, Chairwoman Boyd, Jason and I are in Seattle at the National Congress of American Indians. We're here getting that message across to the rest of the tribes across the country. And I have to tell you, I think we'd be received very warmly. Jason, what do you think, man?
You know, one thing, and I think Chairwoman Boyd will appreciate this. They're still celebrating Chairman Stevens' life, but they always ask, what's his overriding message? How could he have lasted for 20 plus years at Indian Gaming Association as chairman? And really, he preached unity. And Chairwoman Boyd and Dominique, the tribes in Wisconsin are going to have to keep that unity message. And we know Indian country doesn't always get along tribe to tribe, but the threats that are out there now, especially confronting Indian gaming, Chairman Stevens before his passing was confronting these new threats head on. And he understood that this is a new way of thinking and a new way of lobbying and advocacy. But, Chairwoman Boyd, we're hopeful that the tribes in Wisconsin can stay united with what's going on there now and some of these recent attacks. I know, Dominic, you were pretty hot about what some of the folks were saying. I just got done talking with Minnesota tribes. There is a RICO case in Minnesota that a venture capitalist firm is funding to declare that their compacts are, unconstitutional under Minnesota state law, and it's a RICO violation. So, these guys are not, it's similar, almost similar to what Maverick was preaching, but in a different form, not an equal protection, but a RICO case. So,
That's not going to go anywhere. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, they've already lost at district court, but the amount of money is what concerns them, Victor. And it's what we're seeing with these prediction markets and sweepstakes, the amount of money backing that, where they can just throw hordes of money for an unlimited time period is daunting and scary. And that's why we've got to stay
first of all, it's not an unlimited time period. It's only until the midterms. You know what I mean? This is only until the midterms, until the Dems come back and there's balance in the House. And right now it's all in on one side. You have captured, and and that's what they're feeling right now. They're thinking about the tribes, but they see the backlash coming. And anybody that reads politics and lives politics like us, it's very obvious. So they have a short period of time to get this done, because after that it's going to be all over. And once the adults come back in the room, and this thing didn't exist until right before the inauguration is when we started hearing it at the end of 2024. So I'm of the mind that, and a lot of people like me, a lot of them out there see a crack in all this too. So that's the rush. It's the next big thing. If you look at, listen, they're making tons of money from these crypto rug pulls. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I just read an article yesterday that Andrew Tate just got wiped out for almost like $850,000. I think it was like he bought 700,000, got another 75. All got wiped out in a day. Crypto. You know what I mean? So these guys are looking for their next big thing, and the next big thing is prediction markets, until it gets shut down. They'll move to the next thing. It moves faster than stocks. That's what they do. You know what I mean? So it's a bigger game, and I apologize for, but this is our fight, and we're getting it. First of all, enough about me. Let's talk to our guests. You know what I mean? Chairwoman Boyd, welcome. We're glad to have you. This is your first time on here. Um, so what was your reaction when, and you're on mute too before you start, I say, what was your reaction when you first heard about this? About this intrusion by these outsiders?
Well, first, thank you, Victor, for having me, and Dom as well for all of his leadership and efforts in this exercise of our rights and the ongoing battle against those who know so much more about us than ourselves, always. And
I should have
I
read
think
more.
um, I think for us in Wisconsin, it's been just a great opportunity, as you have discussed already, for the unity of the big and small, and that we are going to come together. We will come together. I have seen a great value in some of the government to government relationships that we have established in the state. A lot of the tribal nations have great lobbyists and intergovernmental affairs departments that are just hitting the pavement all day, every day, keeping all of us informed. It's been fantastic to know that we're not naive in the situation. We will be prepared and educated and bring the facts and information that they just can't deny. You know, we're not vulnerable anymore. And I think that's shocking to the system. And I'm seeing that as a young leader in trying to explain our position is that it's steadfast. You know, the idea behind revenue sharing especially, I think, motivates some of these folks who are saying we're not hitting this for the wrong reasons, that we're here to exercise our sovereignty in this state, united, and we're not going anywhere. So that's been kind of the reaction we're all getting. I'm hearing that from our local representatives as well in our state and some of the other advocacy groups for the tribal communities. Um, so I see the message being clear and strong and unified. And that's really what I want to share with folks is that we're we're educated. And if there's something you want to know, come talk to us. We'll discuss it.
Did you see the last webinar with Dominic, and did you hear about what we were talking about, and were you shocked at the level of disregard for your rights and your future?
Oh, I don't think lack of meaningful consultation ever shocks any of us. Even as even as a newer tribal leader at the table, I think we're vulnerable, and I have just appreciated all of the allies who are sharing information with us to make sure that we're informed, because our position is strong then. But I wasn't shocked at all. Of course not. I don't think any Indian person or any ally or advocate of our position would ever be shocked that they would just blindside a hearing.
Yeah, I know. Jason, what do you think, brother?
Yeah, I mean, I Dominic, let's hear. We were up at Forest County, Chairman Bean and I a couple weeks ago, talked to your tribal council up there, and then all of a sudden this bombshell hit 2 weeks later with what the SBA was saying about what's going on in your state. Where's Forest County? How are you galvanizing and getting folks in Wisconsin to rally against this threat?
Yeah, thank you for that. And great to see you, Chairwoman Nicole. Love visiting the property and coming up there with you guys. You make me feel like family up there, man. It's beautiful. And I love the stories that this challenge has given me the opportunity to learn about these tribes up north and sit with their leaders and hear their stories. And it's been heartfelt for me to carry those as our culture. And I get to take that home to Kansas about where we came from and our history and things I've learned here. And so just wanted to, while we face this, we still continue to do what we always have and make our culture strong. I've seen them rebuild their language up there, their culture, and talk to their leaders, and just very proud of what's going on. So what we're seeing here in Wisconsin in the battlefield, look, we asked for a fair playing field, right? Hub and spoke did not exist to tribes, and digital gaming came really quick, and us as operators for 25 years in land-based, it came quick with a lot of power, a lot of force. We didn't have regulatory support in the background. Hub and spoke didn't exist when some of these markets opened up. So the tribes were kind of forced into a corner and trying to make the best of the situation that they could. And now we have cleared the path with hub and spoke. Tribes are able to effectively operate in their markets. And so we've set a guideline and said, look, we want to see Wisconsin have a play fairing field. That means everybody operate under IGRA. Okay. And we as tribes are successfully operating the number one retail sports book in the country under IGRA. And we're going to take that model and do it on online sports betting for OSB. So we're going to continue to operate under IGRA and create a fair playing field for everybody here and continue to unite the tribes, continue to protect the sovereignty, and do what we have always done. We are truly about partnership, not about ownership. You know, a partnership is a 50-50 is where you start the conversation. And what's the clear indication of SBA is that if they can't have it under their rules and their court and their way, that they are going to come in here and attempt to burn down the market, right? Because they have indicated and made public statements they are going into prediction markets that can and operate in states where online sports betting is not legal. So they're going to, from a business perspective, try to shut us down, right? And not allow us to continue to operate, even though we are for Wisconsin. Let Wisconsin bet. We keep the money here. We invest it. We have it under responsible gaming. These firms have multiple fines. It's not hard to find. And we're saying we've done it for 30. We have the best benefits for Wisconsin. And that's what we're fighting, unity, to stick together. Let's get behind the hub and spoke and continue to flame this fire.
All right, I got it right here.
There you go, Victor. I mean, Dominic is putting us to shame. Look at his setup.
I know.
I know we're on the road.
I know. He has a whole studio there. He's Tom, so what was the reaction from from after we last spoke? You know what I mean? What kind of feedback did you get from everyone, especially in the legislators and stuff?
So we had out of committee, our bill got moved forward 10-0 out of the House. Okay, and it got moved out of the Senate. So today we're looking to that this vote will be moved to full legislative session in January. We've had press across the state. We have letwisconsinbet.org. We are on the grassroots campaigns, and we are seeing that Wisconsin wants to bet, right? And they are excited. They know other states have it, that we're losing out opportunities to get money. And Wisconsin has the opportunity right now to bring and get up to speed in the market because, look, we support the sports teams with major sponsorships. We're key founding partners, and this is critical as we see inflations and cost risings in our market. We need the ability to reinvent our revenue curve and continue to drive it. So you'll see that the Bucks and the Brewers have registered to support and full support of our legislation. And what we're seeing is a huge wave of support for Let Wisconsin Bet. So that's what's happening, Victor.
And Chairwoman
really
Boyd,
like that.
yeah,
I really like that.
that's
Yeah,
incredible.
I like that a lot. Go ahead, Jason.
Chairwoman Boyd, being Redcliffe, being a tribe that doesn't have some of the market that these other tribes that are closer to metropolitan areas, what we're seeing is, a lot of these sweeps and prediction markets and heck, even, some of the more established sports books, commercial sports books out there, they go to tribes such as Redcliffe and they want to make a deal and they say, hey, we can really make this work for you. Now the reality of it is, it hasn't been, they haven't proven that as of yet, but I know at least, they've been talking a good game. How are you going to, keep the tribes in Wisconsin in particular? How do you push back against some of this stuff? And I love the way you started it off. Like, you can tell right away what they know about Indian country, about your tribe, just when they first reach out. And I know some of it, that's where they get off on the wrong foot most of the time. But they are now hiring Native Americans and tribal members to sort of help their messaging. I don't know if it's working, but how are you dealing with that, Chairwoman Boyd?
I think here in the Northland, especially the northern Wisconsin tribes who have just a deep, deep commitment to their values and our identity and our purpose is really keeping us rooted in that decision making, right? It's hard to stay pure when you're talking business. And we have, up in the north, especially, we're facing giant challenges with companies like Enbridge and other major mining. And so for us, the idea behind staying true to our motivation, why this sports betting platform will allow us to expand services to our communities and not taking the bait, right? They're expecting that from us. Any good sales pitch is always sounds good when you have so many needs and priorities and goals for your communities, and you want the best for your people. And we have all of the right recipe for them to really make what they think is right, but they're not the cooks in the kitchen. They don't like that when you pull away their power. And I'm seeing that. I'm seeing people committed and true to our identity. And I have seen some of our tribal neighbors engage, right? And are struggling with some of that. So there's a lot of trust that comes from our relationships with all 11 tribes in the state to work together, to say, we want to learn from what you're doing and we can all bring it to the table together. I think that is where I'm coming from as a tribal leader, and what I'm hoping that, and what I see most of our tribal leaders coming to the table and saying, we have to come together. We're stronger together. We're smarter together. And we are all here for the same purpose.
Great. Victor, I'm going to have to duck out now. Again, I'm going to go over to the NCI General Assembly. I'll leave you in Victor's good stead here, and I apologize to the listeners on here, but there is so much to discuss on this, and I'll catch up on the replay. But again, thank you for coming today. And when we're back up there, we'll have to get up to the Great White North and visit with you guys again. So thank you. Go ahead, Victor.
Yeah, see you, Jason. Good luck, and I'll see you at 1:30
Thanks,
at the
Jason.
next
Thank you, guys.
gaming subcommittee.
Thank you.
Well, Jason is off again. They're doing an acknowledgement of Chairman Stevens, and as you know, coming in and being a son of Wisconsin, we're all still in shock, and it's weird not looking across the room and seeing that big cowboy hat and that big guy from across the room. It's just you see someone, you know what I mean? But we're still here with the spirit. It's still very strong. His message is still very strong. His message of tribal unity, and he's here. So, um, Dominic, let me hit this. These companies are now saying they can't survive under IGRA's revenue requirements. When you hear that argument, what does that tell you? What are they telling you?
Yeah, I mean, from our perspective, their clear intent is to have ownership of Wisconsin, ownership of the gaming. They're not here when they talk, I'm here to be your partner. Let's be partnership, and I stick to that statement. It's that's not what a partnership is. So if you want to respect the tribes and come in and have a pliable model, then it's about treating the tribes fairly and operating under IGRA. And that's exactly what we have created, this successful model and platform that can and will be used, as we see, to give support to California. And we appreciate all the conversations from the California tribes. And I've jumped on a few calls, and man, they have been phenomenal. They are 100% support behind us and what we're doing. So they do see this, and it's kind of disturbing. I get SBA coming in with their individuals and their sales talks to their individual tribes, and then on the back end they're filing RICO cases. They're out here trying to shut down when you clearly hear here in Wisconsin that the tribes are coming together to unite, right? They're coming together to unite and sharing, and that's a real important aspect. And it's beautiful to sit on the ground and to see the love that they come around the table and are having these conversations and understand it, because it's critical. I've growing up in this industry, and it was the elders before me that laid the groundwork and helped get my experience and education, and they always prepared us for the day that, you know, we carried this flag for you guys. You know, we put that ground and got this sovereignty. There's a lot of suffering that went on to put you in the place that you are, to give you your culture, to share with you, to show you that love. So for us, you know, as she talks, Nicole is like, you know, these leaders of our North understand our people and our culture and share that love and continue to push us on this path. And we're going to stay on that path. You know, we're going to look to unite. We're going to get this across the line, and we're going to show the nation that there is a model that works, that can benefit the state and the local operators and provide jobs and continue to prepare us. We're just asking for a fair playing field. That's all we're asking for. And it's not fair that if they're going to come over and play dirty and try and take the air out of our ball or flatten our tire, or, you know, take our spark plugs out because, you know, you can't get ownership and take your position, that you don't want to be fair with us. So that's what the message I hope that the other tribes see. You know, that have partnered with them, just to ask them, you know, question them about what they're doing, and are there indications? They're clearly getting in prediction markets? Are they sharing that with any of the tribes at all? Are they just, you know? So I see their intent, and that's what concerns me, and that's what other tribes should ask and say if they're signed up with them too.
You know, if you look at what they said, so FanDuel and DraftKings on Monday left the American Gaming Association, you know, because they're going to go into prediction markets. So now they're saying, even if you guys get this, they're going to come in anyhow. You know, they're going to say, we're going to geofence your reservation, so we're not in violation of that, and we're going to come into Wisconsin, and, you know, everyone will be able to gamble except on your reservation with their products. And so, you know, the strategy seems very clear to me, is to cause this tension between the tribes and their customers. You know what I mean? But the thing to me is, you know, they aren't essential services. You know what I mean? There is no law that says they need to be in all 50 states. And if you can't if you can't meet your nut coming into the state, it's time to move on, son. Hit the ramp, tramp, you know? And you know, maybe Wisconsin isn't for you. Maybe Minnesota isn't for you. Maybe California isn't for you. You know what I mean? But they're going to come in through prediction markets. And again, like I said in the beginning, those things are, I think when you get 50 state attorney generals standing against, you know, all those Supreme Court lawyers, I think it's going to become very clearly about states' rights. And Wisconsin, they're going to come in regardless of what you guys say, whatever, regardless of what the Wisconsin legislators say. They're going to come into Wisconsin and open up, set up camp right on your front door.
Then
You know,
why stop us? Why stop us? Why not support tribal sovereignty, come to unity, and help me get hub and spoke across the line? You see that tribes are supporting this. We're coming together. We're trying to, we are going to operate under IGRA. If you're going to go over our market anyways, then, you know, if you got a commitment to Indian country, you should be supporting this. You know, this is about everything that we've put in place for this generation and the next. So to, you know, to come out and to try and shut us down and still have the clear intent to circumvent it and to put it in play in the market is, man, that's just, yeah. I mean, you make your
brother,
own.
it works to your advantage at this point, man. That legislation is going to fly through when you get these outsiders coming in telling Wisconsin how to do it. These New Yorkers and Boston people coming in and telling Wisconsins how to do it, you know. And that's what they're going to do. That's their plan. Chairwoman Boyd, again, what's your take on this?
I feel like our state and the legislation and federal law as well is really standing behind us and giving us the opportunity to not have to right the wrong, right? Righting the wrong is something we all have to do. It is possible and can be hard, but I feel like we're trying to get ahead of it. We're trying to present the case facts and put all the information forward that says we're genuine. We're at the table genuine. We have inherent right to practice gaming here in our state that is supported by federal laws. And so I think that I'm hopeful, but will fight every ounce of my soul as my ancestors have, and as I'm entrusted to now by my citizens and by the citizens of the state. And I tell people that all the time because half of my membership is throughout this entire state, working in a lot of gaming facilities, working in spaces where they're supporting healthcare and all of the major industries in this state. And that we are not just here to give back to tribal people. We give back to all beneficiaries in this state significantly as employers, as economic drivers. And so I think it's an opportunity as well for the state legislation to understand that they could be on the right side of history in this engagement and not having to right or wrong, regardless of who the people are coming at us and regardless of their power and their influence and their money. I think it's an opportunity, and I want them to understand that. You know, we want them to do the right thing, but we will fight, and we fight hard. and we'll let the lobbyists of the world and the lawyers fight our dirty fight,
Right.
because we're here to say why we're fighting for our people, for our babies, for our grandmas, for our great grandchildren that aren't here yet. This is why we fight so hard for our land, our water, our identity, because this is our home, and we're giving back to everyone who lives here. Everybody is a beneficiary when we are successful, and Wisconsin tribes are united, and we want that for all people in this state. And I see that, I feel it, I hear it, I believe it, and we have an opportunity to do that. The opportunity for technology growth, right? This is not a new fight to us. We fight that in the Northwoods. You know, why are you guys spearing fish with a spotlight? Well, how the hell do you expect us to spear fish? kind of the same battle again. And we'll do it. We're smart. We know how. But it's important that we exercise our treaty rights and our obligations and responsibilities, because that's what we're doing at the root of this discussion is we could be in a lot of markets, and we will be, and we are, but our purpose and mission doesn't change.
Right. You know, I call this is manifest destiny from these guys. This is what they're trying to perpetuate. But you know, you have a really unique point of view dealing with like Enbridge. How does this feel? What are the similarities, you know, and what are the differences?
I think the similarities, we have the same battle going on in northern Wisconsin against the great, wonderful, totally sarcastically, Tom Tiffany. So who's battling us to redesignate the Apostle Islands National Lakeshore to a national park, who says he's just going to drive tons of tourism to Red Cliff. And we said, at what expense, right? We know at every point you're not going to be able to stay pure in your decision making, but we maintain our values, we maintain why those decisions are important to us, what we're fighting for, what we're protecting. And that's where I just feel rooted. And in knowing that we need people to understand that is why, because the water is life, the land is life, the land is living for us. We're here a short time and the land is here forever. And so to explain that value in our culture and our way of life is yeah, I can understand why some people don't understand that. But for us, it's in our DNA. It's in every ounce of my being and my children's being and all the people who are there as caretakers, because we're here temporary. We're here a short period of time. Our time will expire, and the land and things that we value the most, the things that we can support and protect when we have, as Junior, when we have money to do that, is why we need these types of opportunities.
Wow. It's to me, gaming is just as important at this point as the water and the land. It's a new way that the creator has sent to us to pull ourselves out, to participate in the American dream that has been denied for us for so long. And these companies are coming in the same way. That's why I call it manifest destiny. When they say we're coming in just like the mining companies, just like the timber companies, just like all those other companies that have come before them and said, listen, we need to do this because it's for the best of our company. And then you get the politicians that run right over them because they get the consulting jobs, they get the the and to me, though, I think you and the tribes in the state are in lockstep because this is an existential threat against the sovereignty of the state and the sovereignty of the tribes. They're coming in and saying we're coming in regardless. So anything that they do at this point, they tell you is just all performative. You know what I mean? Because they're coming in anyhow. So anything about partnerships, anything about respect, anything about, that's all performative. You know what I mean? They don't mean it. It's just meant for a soundbite and it's nothing they believe in. But you have a unique perspective. Unfortunately, it's a perspective that isn't unique to Indian country. You know what I mean? Which is we're always having to fight. We get up every morning. It's like, okay, which way is the battle coming from? You know what I mean? And it just never ends. But listen, that is our destiny, and we accept it when we get into leadership roles. We know this is what we have to do. You know what I mean? And again, I feel that Wisconsin is in a really unique place. It's been fun to watch it from the outside. It's been fun to be able to talk to everyone. It's been fun to help. I know the tribes in California are very much watching this, and the tribes in Minnesota, and we have reached out, and I feel that we have become partners, just like we've always have been in Indian country. And so together we're stronger, and I feel you guys have a really good chance in Wisconsin and the way things are moving and stuff. So, congratulations, Chairwoman. Just, I think you guys are doing a good job of showing the unity, because it's going to help you guys, especially when this thing gets to the Supreme Court. If you guys need to, get that trail ready, prepare for this thing like it's going to the Supreme Court, and it is, so set them up, set the trip wires, set up, and they'll run right through them. You know what I mean? And that's what we have to do. We have to prepare this thing for the Supreme Court and show them as being, irresponsible and not good partners. And, when it gets to the Supreme Court, and we have 50 attorney generals standing up there against Neil Cattell and the rest of these guys, boys and it's going to become states' rights versus a bunch of corporate lawyers, and that's where it's going to come. So it's important that we prepare for it. And by we prepare for this by going forward with this legislation, showing the unity, getting it passed, and then making sure that people of Wisconsin, understand. Obviously, they're going to have a new product. They're going to be excited. The land of the Green Bay Packers and sports betting. Come on. You know what I mean? Come on. By the way, oh no, I don't. I had my Wisconsin Green Bay shirt on before I put my regular clothes on. So, yeah. Dominic, so what do you think, my friend? Where are we at on this thing? The legislation's moving. We like what we're hearing. What are the politicians saying of that their own, rules are going to be disregarded for some corporate, profits? What are they saying, Dominic? What are you hearing?
Yeah, look, I grew up in the Midwest, been here all my life, did a stint down with the Kickapoos on the Mexico border. But other than that, and I can tell you, traveling around the state, I go around and talk a lot, speak a lot. And look, the general population of Wisconsin, they're tired of being held back from not being able to do online sports betting. We seen it when we opened up retail. They were tired of driving to Illinois. They were already happening. They know that we operate a responsible brand and have done so for 30 years. So I feel like the public support is really behind us, and you see it with the Bucks and Brewers wouldn't be backing us. I mean, they represent the biggest teams in the state, and they're saying, look, we support these guys. This is absolutely, we see the path, and they have an opportunity to bring it to Wisconsin next year. And this governor sat down and said he supports a tribal first model. Okay. And we appreciate that. And that's what, as you heard from Chairwoman Nicole, that's what we're about. And by the way, what she has to say as a leader is what motivates us. It's not the money, it's the what she has to say about what we're protecting and fighting for, and the things that she talks about in our culture is I know I'm preaching to the choir here, but for our listeners, man, that's what brings that fire, man. That's what brings that fire. Makes me want to do everything I can to support. I see the communities. I see me, as my dad as a tribal leader said, we had a missing generation that were taken from us in boarding school, and it was up to us to rebuild that connection to, strengthen our language and our culture. And for me, this whole journey has been that. I've learned stories that had never been heard before, and I wouldn't have if I didn't come up and meet and talk to them, because they're not things that are shared like that. So everything that is happening here, and even being in Ernie's backyard, we were with Ernie all along on this entire plan. This, in my opinion, is his legacy. He loved me. He was supporting me for, we've been working together, and he worked with my dad. They've been my father and I have both sat with U.S. presidents one way or another, and Ernie's always been there, and so I truly believe that this path is destined for us, even though they're trying to manifest destiny. Yes.
Yeah. Hey, you know what? As we were speaking, I got a message from a friend that just said that the bill has been pulled from a vote right now.
That's right. We are moving the vote to January under full legislation. We will have both of them. We clearly knew that yesterday, anticipated it. And so that allows our momentum to gain the current PR. We're seeing a huge rush in our Wisconsin bet, like 5x from the state. So they are moving against Niagara Falls right now with the canoe. You know what I mean? So we'll just
Right.
let it keep going and let them show their face by disrespecting other tribes in other states. And clearly, from California to Minnesota, you're stepping wrong. You need to get some better advice, but that's okay. We're here to be fair. We just want a fair playing field. We're not, look, I'm not insulted. It is what it is. We're good business operators. We'll show you. We'll prove this. We just want a fair playing field, and that's what should happen.
Well, you know what? I got a message here from Gene Johnson, my partner. He was saying that that he comments that FanDuel and DraftKings have chosen they've resigned on Monday from the SBA. So now we have a clear delineation from the commercial guys that are deciding to stay on it, and we have this other entity now that has decided we don't want to play within rules. We're going to play within our rules. They don't want to be in the regulated industry. They want to move outside of it now. What is this? What does this tell you about these people?
It's disrupt. They're from a business standpoint, they're trying to disrupt traditional gaming like Uber did to taxi cabs and bypass all licensing, right? And just say none of that applies to me. We're setting up a whole new platform and we're going to operate. But, I think long term, what we can do and what we see is that our technology and our platforms in full online mobile sports betting compared to predictions today that product is much more user friendly and more of a consumer choice than the prediction markets. But that could change in time, right? So we got to watch and see. Like you said, at the end of the day, they're trying to be too big to fail, right? They're
Yeah.
trying to be too big to fail. They're going to pull in brands like ESPN Predict or something, and try and continue to align and push this. So, that's where we see. But today, right now, we have this opportunity in front of us, and we're excited with our position. We're excited that the legislature, has moved, both Senate and House moved this forward, and we see the huge popular support in Wisconsin. We can operate it effectively and show the nation a model that keeps that in the state if you're looking for that state first model.
Right. And by the way, I misspoke. I meant they say they left the AGA, not the SBA. Thanks, Melissa, for keeping me legit. Everyone out there keeping me honest and on track. I really appreciate that. All my friends are texting me telling me you're so dumb. You know. So it's first of all, congratulations for playing this game like a pro. Nicole, you got to be proud of that. I mean, oh my gosh. You guys are just like you guys know what you're doing up there, don't you?
Oh no, oh no. I'll be way more humble than that. Having people like you've mentioned, Ernie Stevens Jr., just paving the way, and my generation in particular, I don't take for granted 1 second of time that all of these warriors have spent on the front lines on our behalf. And now it's my responsibility to pick that torch up and carry it forward for all the people that are relying on us. And our true belief in sovereignty and exercising that, right? That it will never stop. People call it a fight, we call it a battle, we call it a war, whatever we want. It's our obligation to practice and exercise. And I feel that. I go to bed and I wake up every morning with that as an elected official, not as a mom and a grandma and a wife and an auntie,
Grandma.
but on a deeper level. Yes, grandma.
I thought you were like in your 20s.
And
I'm looking at you like, oh my gosh, she's so young. Oh my gosh. Maybe we should get someone older.
come up to the Northwoods, keeps you.
That's what it is, huh? You're looking
Don't give away all the secrets, but up to the Northwoods. Yeah.
Love it
So
up there.
I don't take for granted any of that, Victor. All these folks who have done all the really hard work and all the resources that some of our tribes that are in a better position to provide for fiscally. We're super grateful. I just want everyone to know it comes from a really genuine place in our souls, why we're all fighting these fights together, and that we're just the next soldiers in line to do the hard work.
Wow. Well, it's as a tribal leader, that's your responsibility is, to make sure the children have more opportunity than you had, than our parents had, and to make sure our elders, sleep in a warm bed and get their meals and, gaming fulfills that promise of the American dream. And I've said this again and again and again, and these are people that are trying to deny it from you. But that seems to be there seems to be more people like that don't want everybody to participate in the American dream. And you see what the American Indians have gone through and what your people have gone through, and that just doesn't affect them. But where it does have weight is in your community. Where it does have is in your state. It might not mean anything in those corporate boardrooms, but it does mean something in your state because you are very proud. I mean, let's talk about Green Bay Packers and their connection with the Oneidas and and it's just right there front and center for everyone to see, and this respect that the people of Wisconsin have for their tribes. Not everyone, as we all know, and but overall, they're very proud of their native culture and their history, and these guys, this is manifest destiny. There's nothing else that you can call it because it's with the same attempt to wipe us out, to wipe out our future, to wipe out our elders and our children. It's nothing less than that. Anyone who says anything less than that is just gaslighting you, you know? And but that's why we're here, Chairwoman, is that, it's our turn. It's our turn to sit in, to walk in the footsteps of our elders, of our grandparents, and that's how I wake up every day, every day, that and my wife's foot in my face, so and maybe my 10-year-old, but I think you guys have come in a really good time in this. I think you've had an opportunity to see everyone, and the SBA and the sports betting companies, not all of them, they're trying to get in all 50 states and they want to control all of it like it's their destiny. You know what I mean? They're destined to do it. And I think, in California, we're very aware we have an opportunity to change the history of the trajectory of the entire industry, and we're going to take it. And you have an opportunity here to change the trajectory of the industry because we start shut them out of Wisconsin, shut them out of Minnesota, shut them out of California, shut them out of Texas. You know what I mean? And let the people take the money, not the corporate warlords, you know? So I feel that that is the message that is starting to seep out and that we're starting to understand, oh, this is the kind of existential fight that we're in. One that our grandparents told us about when we were kids, and now here we are. I apologize about that, but okay. We have a question here. Dom, I'm gonna get you on this one. It says does not appear a partnership between FCP, Forest County, Potawatomi, obviously, and SBA is an option. Basically, he's asking if would there be regulatory concerns of the SBA members operating in gray areas of daily fantasy sports in California? In California, the Attorney General just came out and said it's illegal. And as a matter of fact, we're going to be moving on that big time, which is DFS plus too. But is there any concern that these people wouldn't even pass the regulatory investigation?
Yeah, I mean,
Licensing.
we're seeing concerns, right? We're seeing that in different markets that they're challenging them. So I think that's definitely a possibility.
Yeah, because it's not the innocent thing that it's supposed to be. And you can tell because now you have underdog and prize picks were just DFS now moving into prediction markets because they saw, we're ready to go after them in California. And they've since they see them pivoting, or as I call it, they're rat lining over to prediction markets because they know the game is up. But I think it's very important that we still continue these fights for sports betting, for prediction market, excuse me, for fantasy sports. I think that cuts into our revenue and it's gambling, and they're saying it's a gray area, and it's not gray to me, and it's never been gray. So I think this is another intrusion on your sovereignty that you should take very seriously. And you know, that's where we're at, right?
I agree.
So, okay. So, I hope that answered your question, Richard. I think a lot of us are looking at the regulatory and saying, okay, these guys are not going to be suitable for licensing because of these violations. And I think that's why you're seeing them move out of Nevada. You're seeing them, they'd rather give up these licensing and rather than get these strikes against them in other states and stuff like that. Now, part of their strategy is staying in states where there is already sports betting. So they're in Wisconsin, they're in Michigan, so they're saying they're not going to do prediction market sports betting in Wisconsin, but I assume they're going to be doing presidential picks and all that stuff too. So they're still coming in, you know, regardless. So it's just rings very false and hollow to me, that they are saying they want to partner in you, yet on the other hand, they're holding a knife,
Oh, yeah, their intent is clear. You can follow the money and look at what's happening with their strategy and, being down here on the ground, actually experiencing it. It's um, we understand what they're attempting to do.
So one of my questions is so if this model is blocked, what is the options beyond that, and what kind of precedent will this set?
Yeah, well, as we look forward with Hub and Spoke, we're just going to have to continue to push this fight forward. The only other way in the state is a constitutional amendment, and it's 5 to 7 years off. So, I just don't see, the Wisconsin is, these are major fans here, right? The number one NFL stadium in America, the Packer Nation, the Brewers, the Bucks. I mean, it is, this state and the people around it absolutely. We're getting the message out that we have the ability to bring this online, and if it gets stopped, it's getting stopped for reasons beyond Wisconsin, right? For personal reasons, for commercial, to stop them from having this in an unfair manner just because they're unable to operate in the market and they want to fly a different product and keep us at bay that is not up to speed with your current R models and our tech stacks that we want to fly. So that's ultimately where I see it going. I think it'd be a big mistake with what we're seeing in Wisconsin. So
it just feels to me that the idea of the prediction markets, and that these bureaucrats in Washington, D.C. can override state sovereignty and tribal sovereignty at their will, self-satisfying. And there's a question in the Q and answer Q&A, talking about, that's Cordell. Hey, Cordell. When prediction markets are ultimately struck down, and I'm of the agreement they will be struck down too, what impact would this have on the casino industry companies with existing gaming licenses that currently engage with prediction market platforms? Will there be fallout on the backside of this?
Yeah, I hope so. At the end of the day, so they're moving pretty quickly, and so I think is what we see from the legality of it, that it certainly is going to be held accountable at the end of the day, what their moves were and how they played in this market. So I think the market will determine as they see the actions of what had occurred.
Yeah, I think, in California, I hear there's legislation being worked on for prediction markets. I think if you saw what happened with sweepstakes in California, I think you can pretty rest assured it will sail through in California too. You know what I mean? You saw what we did to we saw what we did to sweepstakes, within a
Unbelievable.
year.
You guys are
Yeah. And so you know what, we have a plan too. They're not they know they're vulnerable. That's why they're loading up for the Supreme Court. They know that, they lie through their teeth. Everything they say is just pure lies and fabrication. It's about gambling. It's not about, it's gambling, period. That's what it is. So, Nicole, I apologize. We went on this rant, and we want to thank you again. And we're coming close to the end of it, but I want to know, looking ahead, what must tribes do to protect their authority in this new digital realm that we're going? We're just stepping into a new realm. We have a hostile reception. You know what I mean? What do you see going forward?
I think for us, where I see the steadfast is always in continuing to build relationships on both sides, right? We need allies on all sides. Understanding the opposition is really a strength of ours. And tribal communities not only standing behind their sovereignty and all their legal rights, but continuing to build relationships so that people understand our genuine position, right? We have a lot of pride in our identity. We have a lot of pride in being Wisconsinites. It's no joke when Dom says we're born with green and gold in our blood. It's in us. You're introduced to the Brewers and the Bucks before you can even speak. So you're touching a very solid foundation there when you talk about the identity of the pride behind this state, and not just Indigenous people, right? Because there's still a lot of education in this state as well that needs to happen around the Indigenous people in Wisconsin. And so I think for the future, we need to stay strong to our roots, stay strong to our relationship building skills, to understanding people on a deeper level. That's a strength of ours that a lot of people don't see. They don't put the effort and the time and the commitment into really understanding why the decision means so much. And I really hope that that takes time and effort and energy, and I understand that. But I just see tribal leaders committed every day, flying all over this country, on calls, morning, noon, and night, different time zones. So our commitment is strong and hard because we love what we're doing. We love our people. We love our state. We love our resources. And I think that's the strongest thing we can do. We can bring all the data and information. And I come from academia. So I feel like you said earlier, Victor, when you said I'm preaching to the choir, because I do a lot of that around language revitalization, and find myself with all these tribal language just masterminds. And we don't need to convince each other. We need to convince everyone else. And so bringing the information and the facts to the table, being genuine with our relationships, I think is really going to it puts the tribe in an advantageous spot. It really does.
Well, and I've always said, gaming is a means to an end, and that end is cultural preservation. And it's allowed us to save our language. It's allowed us to keep our culture and to keep things that we're trying to be that were taken from us. You know what I mean? So it's just so important that these fights continue, and when you step into these shoes of your predecessors and your elders and your family, it's like it's an honor to be in these fights. It's an honor. And I'm proud of what you're doing in Wisconsin, and all of us around the country are watching with pride, and we're all there helping, and you guys aren't alone. As you know, we're all there with we're sending all our homework from King, California, and what we've done successfully. And this is how we go forward. We share our messages. We are one in the same. California, Wisconsin, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Oklahoma, Wisconsin, Florida. We are one in the same, and we all communicate every single day, and that gives us our strength. And this didn't happen 30 years ago. You know what I mean? And that's why we're so much stronger than we are today. And I'm just very proud of you guys in Wisconsin. And it's just such an honor when I fly to Wisconsin to step on your homeland. It's just such an honor to be around such beautiful and proud people. The Ojibwe, beautiful, beautiful people. And well, we're getting close to the end, and I could go on about how proud I am of you, but you guys seem to be having it in control, and it's going the way you like it, and that's because you guys have prepared. You guys knew this fight was coming, and you're prepared. And with FanDuel and DraftKings leaving the AGA, this means listen, it's easier to shoot straight. You know what I mean? And whether they're going to be able to come back in the market when predictions is shut down or restricted to trades and not gambling, they're going to have to, what goes up comes down. You know what I mean? And we need to be there waiting and making sure that if you got in prediction markets, you ain't coming into this market. If you take one bet out of Wisconsin, then that is $1 too much. You know what I mean? And you have to have these type of penalties or they're not going to listen. And that's the only thing they understand. So start pushing them out of your market, start penalizing them. And when prediction markets is shut down, they're going to come back on their hands and knees. You know what I mean? We didn't mean it was an accident. Oh, here it is. I know the whole thing is the lawyers told us. The lawyers told us to do it. So again, thank you both so much, Dominic. You know what? Thank you very much. I think it's been a real education, and it's always fun to watch when the tribes are united and watching a move, and especially when the tribes are united with their states. And that's what tribal gaming is. We are our states are us. We represent something to them, and the states are important to us. So I think that you guys have done an incredible job, and that's why you're seeing the kind of reaction from them that they are, because they're frightened of how fast you guys are moving, how coordinated you are, and how organized you are. And they ran roughshod over these other states, and now the ones that they haven't gotten, they're trying. It's a lot more difficult. The low-hanging fruit is gone. Now they got to climb up in the tree, and we're going to be waiting for them up there, right?
Well said.
Yeah. So, well, I guess thank you very much. We're in Wisconsin. Thanks for Jason. He had to go down and do another meeting. Dominic, thank you so much. We really appreciate you. We can't wait to go up and see you guys. Chairwoman Boyd, thank you so much for the education on your tribe, and it was wonderful meeting you. We're both here in Seattle. I hope I get to see you today or tomorrow. I'll be on the lookout for you to shake your hand, and thank you very much. And Dom, thank you so much, brother. Keep up the good work. We got your back. Anything you need, we're right here for you.
All right. Appreciate you.
All right, everyone. Thank you very much. We'll see you next week.